Tonight on CFTK-TV News, local reaction to the federal election, World Junior Hockey players on trial, and an art piece aimed to inspire organ donation.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. Police are investigating after a male suffered fatal injuries in a motor vehicle collision on Haida Gwaii. At 1:17 p.m. on April 22nd, the Dodging Guides RCMP say they received a report of a pedestrian-involved collision in the 200 block of Front Street in Skidegate. A vehicle reportedly struck the pedestrian, who later died from his injuries. North District Major Crime has taken conduct of the investigation and is traveling to the community. The Dodging Guides RCMP will continue to remain on scene and in the area. Staff Sergeant Chris Clark of the BC RCMP says the investigation is in its infancy, but police believe that this was a targeted incident. Police are asking anyone with information to speak with police rather than post to social media. Due to this incident, the Skidegate Band Council put out a resolution for a curfew on its members running from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., stating the current crisis poses an existing or imminent threat to people and property, and that therefore the emergency situation requires prompt coordination of action. The band says the curfew will remain in place until the resolution is rescinded. Anyone with any information, including CCTV or dash camera video, is asked to contact the Dodging Guides RCMP. Now to a report from CFTK-TV's Kale Maslin looking at advanced polling and what those numbers could mean for the rapidly approaching federal election.
Prior to the official voting day that will take place next week, Elections Canada has estimated that around 7.3 million people used the advance polling that was available during the Easter long weekend to place their vote. And if those numbers stand during the agency's final verification, that would be a 25% increase from 5.8 million who went the advanced voting route in the previous 2021 election. As for why the advanced polls put up these record numbers in this election cycle, some residents in the Northwest have pointed to a couple of reasons that may have happened.
I know a few people that did go, and they told me they went because they had very strong opinions and wanted to send a clear message.
And it was super easy, showed our license, and we were done. It was great.
But beyond the convenience of getting your vote in early, placing your say in who gets to be in charge of Canada seems more important than ever, considering how the political landscape is shaping out at the moment.
I'm almost 50 years old. I've been through a lot of elections. I think this is probably the most divided and important election we've ever seen. We're clearly divided, conservatives and liberals, and yeah, it's important to all of us.
And as far as what pressing issues people believe need to be addressed as soon as possible are, they mainly seem to revolve around one thing: money.
But I think our fiscal policy needs to be dealt with. How much money we're spending, making sure that we're making sure that things are that we can afford what we have and we don't drop it down to our grandkids and kids. So.
We need to fix our economy, and that includes housing, right? It's no point in us having jobs if there's no place to live. So housing and the economy, to me, are the most important things.
Next Monday is Election Day, and for people in our Pacific time zone, voting hours are between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Kale Maslin.
It was a chaotic scene in Fort St. John Easter Friday, and a warning: the information in this next story is disturbing. One person is dead, 2 others injured after a shooting that saw a man drive his car into a burning apartment building. It happened just before 1:30 Friday afternoon in the 9800 block of 103rd Avenue in Fort St. John. Police say a man in a silver car allegedly shot at a black pickup with 2 occupants inside the truck. The truck fled the scene and ended up at the hospital. Police believe the man in the car set fire to the apartment. He then drove into the building, killing himself. Emergency crews arrived on scene, extinguishing the blaze, but not before the building suffered extensive damage. A witness told CJDC-TV News a man was running through the emergency room at the Fort St. John Hospital. He was yelling, "My girlfriend has been shot in the face." Soon after police arrived at the ER with guns drawn, the hospital was briefly placed on lockdown. The injuries to the two individuals are not considered to be life-threatening. According to a GoFundMe account, the woman was airlifted to hospital in Vancouver for emergency surgery. The Serious Crime Unit is continuing its investigation. Anyone with dash cam or security footage of the area is being asked to contact the Fort St. John RCMP. Coming up next, party leaders bear down in the last days of the election. Hello again. The race to the polls continues, and party leaders are bearing down in the final days of their election campaigns. CTV's Shalane Skaluski has more.
It's time for government to start pinching pennies as well.
Revealing the Conservative Party of Canada's costed platform, Pierre Poilievre wants to cut the deficit by 70%. To get there, the plan relies on cuts, economic growth projections, and a new spending discipline law.
Going forward, every time a politician or bureaucrat comes up with an idea to spend more money, they will need to find the exact amount or more in savings.
The Conservative leader also committing to cut the oil and gas emissions cap and regulations around energy infrastructure.
Our numbers are prudent. Our plan is ambitious.
Mark Carney's plan boasts $130 billion in new spending, including for national defense and health care. For Alberta, dollars will go to high-speed rail between Edmonton and Calgary, improved Parks Canada responses for natural disasters, and extended railways for farmers. Spending, this former Bank of Canada governor defends.
Unlike Pierre Poilievre, I've actually managed economies before. I've actually managed budgets before.
What they've put out in the platform is a relatively meaningful increase in the size of the federal deficit.
This economist says the Liberal spending plan marks a departure from previous fiscal promises, adding Conservatives are committed to cuts.
They do have quite a bit more areas that they're targeting for spending reductions than the Liberal plan.
It almost seems like there's an Excel sheet with maybe one or two cells that are missing at the very end, and they're like, just throw this number in and we'll figure out how to create a narrative.
Moshe Lander questions the accounting in the plans, but with 7.3 million advanced ballots already cast, some question how much the math matters.
The early vote is an indication of interest in this election, but also a sense of enthusiasm for people that want change.
Canadians head to the polls Monday. Shalane Skaluski, CTV News, Edmonton.
Changing demographics have resulted in one party polling low in the riding in which their leader stands. Here's CTV's St. John Alexander with more from Burnaby Central.
This is Burnaby Central, and at its heart, Metrotown, a dizzying, skyrocketing construction zone where towering condos are being built next to other giants. Brand new homes with brand new voters that candidates are desperate to reach.
What's your name?
Not the least of which is NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, who is fighting to keep his seat in the newly formed riding.
And again, here in British Columbia, you've got the power to send New Democrats to Ottawa to fight for you.
Polls suggest he remains in third place, with Conservative James Yan and Liberal candidate Wade Chang well ahead.
And do you live in this riding?
I live right here in Metrotown.
Chang is a lawyer with an MBA from Oxford who moved to Canada from Taiwan when he was a teenager. He knows the race is close.
I don't really care about Jagmeet Singh. I care about my people, my residents here in the riding. So I see Jagmeet Singh as another candidate in this election, and that's it.
Historically, the NDP has done well in Burnaby. Singh won 3 times. Before that, Kennedy Stewart.
I'm door knocking. I recognize you from Central, right?
And Sven Robinson was victorious in 1979 and 6 more times after that. But the demographics have been changing significantly.
The people moving in aren't as low income, they aren't as working class as they used to be. They're generally more affluent. Generally for the NDP, the historical voting base has usually seen greater strength among those making below $50,000, those who are lower income, those who are working class.
We invited the Conservative candidate to be part of this story, but didn't hear back.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I was like,
Burnaby Central will likely see a lot of Singh before Election Day on Monday. He may be down, but well known, the leader of a party, a skilled campaigner, and an incumbent. His opponents, while new, have the backing of parties with strong polling numbers, and analysts say no one should be counted out. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Burnaby.
Turning to the weather, today's moon phase is a waning crescent at 23% illumination. The sun rose at 6:13 a.m. this morning and sets at 8:52 p.m. tonight. Tonight on the North Coast, conditions are looking mainly cloudy with a low of +5 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect a mix of sun and clouds for the next few days, becoming cloudier Sunday and then rain on Monday. Temperatures sitting in the 10 to 11 degree range with overnight lows in the 2 to 5 degree range. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect a few clouds with winds from the south gusting to 20 kilometers an hour, overnight low of +4. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect sunshine tomorrow, then a mix of sun and clouds as we get into the weekend. Daily temperatures in the 12 to 18 degree range with overnight lows in the 4 to 6 degree range. In the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, tonight conditions are clear with a low of -4 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect conditions to be mainly sunny tomorrow, then a mix of sun and clouds getting into the weekend. Daily temperatures in the 12 to 18 degree range with overnight lows in the 1 to 3 degree range. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, there's bridge maintenance and repairs on Haida Gwaii. There's also utility work, industrial traffic, and pothole repair throughout, as well as geotechnical investigation in Smithers and an eastbound lane closure. On Highway 37, there's avalanche control work from Bell 2 to Bob Quinn. Expect 1-hour delays. On Highway 37A, there's falling rocks. On Telegraph Creek Road, there's muddy sections, and the rest area is closed at Burnt Trailer Tanzilla access. Still to come, some Canadian junior hockey players head to court. Welcome back. Multiple Canadian hockey players from the 2018 World Junior team showed up in court yesterday, accused of sexual assault. Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel with more details.
From teammates to champions to accused sexual predators. One by one, 5 players from the 2018 gold medal winning World Junior Hockey team arrived at this London, Ontario courthouse for the first day of trial. Their case has already been unprecedented on multiple levels. Former Team Canada captain Dylan Dubé, Cal Foote, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, and Alex Fermenton have each been charged with sexual assault. McLeod is also facing one charge of being party to the offense. Inside the courtroom, a row of 5 separate tables for each of the accused line one side of the room. Each stood before the court on this day to plead not guilty. Justice Maria Caracia then spent the day selecting 14 jurors, 11 women and 3 men, who will decide the fate of the accused.
You know very little about the potential jurors. You know occupation, you know age, you know general area that they live in, but you don't know very much about them.
One person who will have their identity and credibility called into question by the defense is the alleged victim, who's expected to be called to the stand as early as this Friday.
This is a case that will come down to the evidence primarily of the complainant and her credibility.
The alleged group sexual assault took place inside this London, Ontario hotel in June 2018 following a Hockey Canada gala. A lawsuit filed in April of 2022 states that an alleged female victim met a group of young men at a bar following the gala and had consensual sex with one of the players. She alleges that afterwards, 7 others entered the hotel room and, quote, directed, manipulated, and intimidated her into remaining in the room where she says she was sexually assaulted.
It's always difficult for the Crown to prove these cases because at the end of the day, it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
It's expected that multiple players from that World Junior team who weren't charged will be called to the stand, some of whom are currently playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Tomorrow, the Crown will begin their opening arguments, and they'll be calling their first witness of this trial.
When it comes to learning, everyone wants their child to get a fair shot in life, but one BC family is struggling to get the school district even just to allow their child to attend. Here's CTV's Andy Garland.
Cheese.
Luca is in grade 3 and loves going to school. He's autistic with limited verbal skills.
Has been looking out the window, waiting for the bus to come.
And the school bus that takes him to class hasn't come in quite some time.
He's been out of school for over 60 days. From this entire year, he's basically missed his entire grade 3 year.
Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools issued this letter to his parents in late February after repeated episodes of behavior endangering his and other students' health and welfare. That includes incidents of biting, pinching, kicking, and property destruction.
The principal told us he can have these behaviors once a day if he has a meltdown. But now those meltdowns are being used against him.
The school district used a clause under the School Act called a medical exclusion to have Lucas removed.
A condition or a disease or a mental or physical condition that could endanger the health or safety of students and staff.
The district says it needs a certificate and not a letter before he can return to in-person learning.
Parent would need to provide a medical certificate from a health professional that states that a child does not have a condition that would endanger the health or safety of other students or staff.
Luca's parents have 2 letters from pediatricians stating his medication has changed and it should help with his behavior.
We want him to be able to learn and not be left out and socially isolated.
Luca's parents are now in the process of seeking legal counsel. Andy Garland, CTV News, Nanaimo.
The head of Vancouver-based West Fraser Timber says potential inflation due to American tariffs could push down demand. Sean McLaren made the comments about the uncertainty during a call with financial analysts discussing the company's latest results. U.S. President Donald Trump has made it clear he wants to increase domestic lumber supply and has launched an investigation into potential harms from Canadian lumber imports. And turning to the stock markets now, Canada's main stock index and U.S. markets pared back earlier gains, but still ended the day up after U.S. President Donald Trump said he would not attempt to fire the head of the Federal Reserve, and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent commented that he expects a de-escalation in the trade war with China. The Canadian dollar fell by 0.2 cents. The price of gold dropped $125. Oil dropped $1.40. Natural gas rose by 2 cents. Aluminum rose $14.50. In Toronto, the TSX rose by almost 167 points. The Venture Index rose almost 5 points. In New York, the Dow Jones rose by 419 points and the Nasdaq rose by almost 408. Still ahead, an art piece aimed to inspire organ donation. Thanks for staying with us. Police say a 15-year-old in Campbell River has died of a suspected drug overdose. They say an investigation has led police to believe it was caused by a combination of hydromorphone or Dilaudid and non-prescription cough medicine. Dilaudid is sold as a prescription medication, including as a safer supply drug that is provided as an alternative to toxic street drugs. April is National Tissue and Organ Donation Month, and it's hoped a new piece of art inspires more donations. CTV's Carla Shirenik has the details.
639 days later, his heart still beats.
Darla Breton's life changed forever in July of 2023 when her 22-year-old son, Braylon, was rushed to hospital. Doctors told Breton her son had a catastrophic brain injury.
Our story could have ended right there in that room, but through the honor of donation, Braylon's life and legacy continue.
That's because 6 of his organs were donated to others.
His big, strong heart, his lungs, kidneys, liver, and the islets of his pancreas were all transplanted.
Braylon was Indigenous, and that's a demographic with a significant number of people represented on the waiting list for organ and tissue transplant.
In Canada, there are 4,400 people waiting for an organ and tissue transplant. 250 Canadians die each year waiting for a life-saving organ.
The Saskatchewan Donor Program hopes to encourage organ donation, especially amongst Indigenous people.
Painting exists because of like-minded people coming together in regards to taking care of each other.
Kevin Wesaquate created this artwork called Niwo, which means four in Cree and represents the four body parts, which contribute to the whole person. It also incorporates the four colors of the medicine wheel. It's hoped to help draw attention to organ donation. This artist lost his mom, who was waiting for an organ donor when he was a child.
Tried to capture, the idea of giving and the idea of connectedness to this, in regards to the Indigenous culture, the Star people. That's why the painting looks as if it's in the air.
The painting will hang in the newly renovated entrance of St. Paul's Hospital. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
And finally, a pesky bird is causing some serious financial damage as well as significant noise pollution. Here's CTV's Tim Brutch.
It's one of the last things you want to hear outside at 5 a.m. And this noisemaker isn't just loud, it's trying to move in.
And that big hole, that's basically right outside my bedroom.
Meet the northern flicker, a type of woodpecker. This couple has been introduced and has already seen enough.
We're struggling right now just because the day-to-day activity from the bird is kind of hitting our brains and our mental pretty well.
All that noise is a flicker attempt at attracting a mate, and the birds are also known for pecking their way into homes, mainly ones with stucco siding, looking for food or a place to nest.
34, 35, 36, 37 holes. Nothing seems to work. These guys are persistent.
One Douglas Glen family is at its wit's end. They can't hurt the flickers as they're protected under the Migratory Bird Act, and solutions like spray foam haven't done much.
And the insurance company told us that it is considered a pest, so they don't cover pests or any damage caused by the pest.
Fixes aren't cheap. One company uses a coating to keep the birds away, but each job takes a week.
We apply the coating and then we have to refinish it with the same color and the same texture to match with the existing, right? So there's 3-4 steps. This year we've been getting, I would say, 25 to 30 calls a week.
For those who don't have $20,000 lying around, experts do have some recommendations.
Take a look at what their needs are. See if there's a way that you can provide those needs that distract them away from the side of your house, the side of your shop.
Nesting boxes can be made, or the nearby area can be naturalized in an effort to encourage flickers to settle elsewhere. Remember to repair any holes immediately, and if the birds still come back, consider netting. Mating season typically runs March to May. Tim Brook, CTV News, Calgary.
That's our news for now. Thanks for watching and enjoy your evening.